Meet Eric. Eric has decided that he wants to study abroad in Australia. Congratulations, Eric! Studying abroad and becoming an international student in Australia is a big life decision that can have big rewards. Eric has contacted MSA Immigration Australia because he wants to live in one of the best countries in the world and end up with a university degree from a world-recognized educational institution that will help him succeed in his profession back in his home country or as he continues his journey and migrates permanently to Australia. MSA Immigration Australia knows that this big life decision can often be stressful because it's important to students like Eric and he wants to get it right. That's why we have simplified the study to migrate process into 4 easy-to-follow steps. MSA has removed all complication and confusion so that Eric can rest assured that his MARA-registered migration agent and QEA education counsellor is taking care of his unique study abroad experience. First, Eric will receive an initial assessment and education counselling session. Our team will then enroll him into his educational institution and get Eric to pay his tuition fee before the final step where MSA will lodge Eric's visa. Once Eric's visa is approved, he can now prepare for his Australian adventure.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending the MSA Immigration 485 Visa Masterclass webinar. So I'll be discussing more about the 485 visa during this webinar, and I congratulate everyone for attending this webinar. So it means like either you have been you're almost completed with your studies or you completed with your studies and are planning to apply for this Subclass 485 visa. So just to start, I would like to show you what are the topics that we will discuss in this webinar. So we will discuss about what is 485 visa and the eligibility for this visa, and things that you can do with this visa, application process, requirements, cost, and at the very end we'll be discussing more on the helpful tips if you want to apply for the visa yourself or if you want to apply through an agent like MSA Immigration. And the last one would be discussing more on the latest visa updates, the changes that has been introduced because of COVID, and other visa updates because of regional changes. And at the very end, we'll be having a Q&A. So if you have any questions, just type it in the chat box, and we will be addressing all these questions at the very end of our webinar. All right. So this webinar is brought to you by MSA Immigration with the cooperation of NEI. So this webinar is exclusively for NEI students. So I thank Dr. Khaled for organizing this webinar with us so that we will better inform all the students of NEI about 485 visa and things that the requirements, costs, and application process, so that you will be better informed when you finish your course with NEI. So just to introduce myself, I'm Prismarie Tentia. I'm the Principal Registered Migration Agent of Australian Dream MSA Immigration Australia, formerly known as Australian Dream Visa. So I'm a registered migration agent, and this is my badge number, which is 1796650. So you can look me up on mara.gov.au. So just to update you about myself, I'm a registered migration agent, but prior to that, I was born and raised in the Philippines and migrated in Australia in 2011. So I migrated under the General Screen Migration Stream, which is called now Subclass 189. So here in Australia, I studied postgraduate degree in migration law. That's why I'm now a registered migration agent. But prior to that, I'm an IT professional. I'm a quality analyst and a business analyst, and I graduated from the University of the Philippines, Manila, with a bachelor's degree in computer science and a master's degree in information systems. So just like all of you, I'm also a migrant myself. So I know the struggles that everyone is facing, like, moving into a different country, experiencing a different culture, and like, the struggles of gaining permanent residency. So I have been through all of that. So yeah, just to update you on the MSA Immigration Australia Advantage. So uh, um, our team is a team of migration and education consultant professionals that we are based in Pasig City and here in Perth, Western Australia. So our expertise is on student visa and obtaining study to migrate pathways um, for students to gain permanent residency as well as skilled visa, partner visa, and partner visa. So our firm is a boutique firm which we offer bespoke migration advice. So each person would have a different circumstance. We understand that, and that hence we tailor fit all our advices based on a personal your personal circumstance. So we're not like a big agency which have a cookie cutter um process wherein like everybody goes into like a certain flow. We understand that each person is different, hence like how we handle our application is very personalized, so you would see more of like interaction between you and our staff in um providing you migration advice. So uh, we also have several incentives for our clients which we offer, like free student visa processing, so we will handle all your visa processing for free. And we also uh, provide you incentives, $100 incentive when you sign up with us. So there's really nothing like you're not really giving any money to us. We're all processing your visa for free when you're an onshore applicant, and we will also provide $100 when you sign up with us. And then we also have a refer a friend promo, which we will provide $100 for you and $100 for your friend. So if you have a friend who wants to apply for a visa here in Australia or outside Australia, we will be providing you $100 as a referral bonus, and your friend will also have $100. And like just to sweeten up the deal, we also have the lowest price advantage, which we will provide 15% off any competitor. So if you have like if you have a quotation from someone like offering you a migration service which costs something, we will beat that price and deduct 15% from the competitor price. And we also have like um discounts on future migration services for for clients who for our current clients. So if for example you will be applying for skilled migration visa, partner visa, and all other visas which would require professional fee from us, we would be providing you special discounts because you're our uh, existing client. And also we have like an um, partnership with OHSC. So normally, like the prices of OHSC is around like more than 10,000 for family. We have a partnership with health insurance provider, which would give you about half of the price for the OHSC. So it's and then we're also partners with several reputable institutions, including NEI and several universities and um, uh, colleges all around Australia. And of course, like we are a team of helpful, knowledgeable, and supportive team. So I think most of you are Filipinos. So we are we're based in Philippines and we speak your language, and then we guarantee that we will be supporting you from the start to the very end of your visa process. So that is for Australia MSA immigration. So so just to start with Subclass 485 visa. So I know that you're here because of this topic. So just to give you a brief background of the Subclass 485 visa. So originally, this is called Skilled Graduate Visa, which started in 2007. So prior to what we know now, which is the postgraduate visa, Subclass 485 is known as Skilled Graduate Visa. So now, around 2013, it was amended to be known as Subclass 485, and this is a visa that allows international students who studied in Australia to leave, study, and work here in Australia after you finish your studies. So this 485 visa, a very important fact, a fact about this is that 485 visa can only be applied once in a student's lifetime. So that's why it is very important that you do, like, you strategize or you apply this visa correctly. Otherwise, you would lose that opportunity to maximize the benefits of the 485 visa. So this Subclass 485 visa, it's called temporary. So it doesn't mean, like, it doesn't provide a pathway for permanent skilled residents, but it would allow, like, the visa holders to extend their stay and then use that time to do, like, to have the work experience needed to apply for a permanent skilled visa. So this visa does not require a sponsorship of an employer or a relative or a nominating territory. So this is the beauty of this visa. So it allows students to freely apply for this visa without any sponsorship. And uh, yeah, so that is Subclass 485. So I will quickly mention what is the benefits of the holder of a 485 visa. So as mentioned earlier, the 485 visa, you can temporarily live in Australia. So depending on the stream that you would apply for, it would be, like, 18, at least 18 months and to up until 4 years. So you can work in Australia. So, like, most of you are studying vet courses, right? So the 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 work rights that you have right now is 20 hours per week or 40 hours per fortnight. So after when you apply for 485 visa, you will have full work rights compared to, like, the prorated work rights that you have right now with your student visa. That is what's good with this visa. And you can still study in Australia with this visa, so there's nothing preventing you to study in Australia. But you could still study in Australia. And then the last one is you can bring your family with you. So what does it mean? So if you have dependents yeah, under your Subclass 500, or, like, for example, right now you got married or something, you can include them in your application, and all of your dependents, for example, you have a spouse and then you have kids, they would have the same benefits as mentioned here. So they can temporarily live in Australia, study in Australia. They also have full work rights. So you will have the same visa and same like benefits. All the benefits for a visa would also be applicable to your dependent. All right. So just to mention, there would be two streams for this visa. So one is the graduate work stream and the post-study work stream. I believe since you are from NEI, you would be more suitable in this graduate work stream visa. So I will discuss more about the graduate work stream visa. So graduate work stream visa is for students like you who have completed qualifications that are relevant to your to specific Australians' needs. So it means the course that you have completed should have led to a skills assessment in the MLTSSL list. So this is more for students who completed trade qualifications under colleges like NEI. So the duration of this visa is usually 18 months. So, and then The next one is the post-study work stream. So this is applicable for international students who graduated bachelor's degree, master's degree, or doctoral degree. So if you see here, the difference is that the length, the duration of the 481 visa that would be granted for students who graduated as bachelor's degree would be like more compared to the graduate visa. So for you, you would have 18 months. But if you completed bachelor's degree, master's degree, they would have um, more, the duration would be longer for them. So um, that is the post-study work stream. So probably it would not be applicable for you right now, but if you wish to study in the future, like for example, after you finish your course in any IU, want to pursue bachelor's degree, master's degree, then you would be able to apply for the post-study work stream. So it is for students. This is also important. So some of you might be here for like more than 10 years. So if you want to apply for this kind of visa, your first student visa must be granted after 5th of November 2011. So if you have been more than if you have your visa has been granted earlier than that, then you won't be eligible for this visa, but you will be eligible for the graduate work stream. All right. So basic eligibility. So a lot of people are asking, oh, the student visa have what you call that age limit. So what we're saying is like there's no age limit for student visa, but then we want to maximize if you're eligible for 485 visa after your student visa, we want to say after you finish that the course, you would still be under 50 years of age. So you will be eligible for this visa. But if you're more than 50 years of age, so you would automatically be unable to apply for this visa. And then the next one is you have to hold an eligible visa. So eligible visa, for example, this is the student visa. So and that student visa must be you must have that visa in the last 6 months. So what do you mean by that? So it means that you have 6 month window after the after holding your student visa to apply for 485. So you cannot just sit on this one and then thinking I completed my studies, I can apply for 485. So you have that 6 month window. So that is very important because a lot of rejection for this visa is because of this window. A lot of students are forgetting to apply within the 6 months window. So then the next one would be you have recent qualification in CRICA's registered course. So fortunately your school NEI is a very reputable school, which all their courses are CRICOS registered. So the next one would be you have to meet the 2-year Australian student requirement. So ASR, this is very important and this is very relevant for you, which who are students from NEI and VET courses. So what does 2 years Australian study requirement ASR mean? So it means the course must be at least 92 weeks. So it means it doesn't mean that it has to be just one course. It can be a number of package courses, like 2 or more. 1, 2, yeah, that would total for 92 weeks. And also it has to be 16 months of study. So these are the two important things. And then for graduate visa, you have graduate work visa, your studies must be related to each other. So you cannot just combine courses that are not relevant to each other to just meet the 92 weeks 2-year Australian study requirement. And then the last one would be having competent English skill. So that means applying in IELTS with or TTE band 6. So that is the thing. So right now the Australian government understands that there would be a lot of graduates that would not be able to meet the Australian study requirement, because a lot of the students are working, I mean studying online. Some, like, are stuck in overseas during the pandemic, and you're not going to be able to meet the Australian study requirements, which requires you to study in Australia for at least 16 months. So there are concessions to graduates impacted by these travel restrictions. So just probably this is a case to case basis, if like, if you're eligible. So if you want to know more about this, just contact us. But right now the concession period is still running, and then, like, if um it they don't really know when it would end. So it's better to apply the visa as soon as possible. So if you're, like, overseas studying, and, like, you're thinking, oh, I might not meet the Australian study requirement, you it is important that you talk to somebody, like, to check, as like us, like migration professionals, to see if you're eligible. All right. So the next one is the process. So we talked about, like, what what do you gain from applying of uh 485 visa, and, like, the requirements needed. So this is the application process. So for graduate work stream, this is the stream applicable to your case, NEI students. So there are three simplified steps. So first is this collection of personal and academic requirements, and then skills assessment. So this is the difference between the post-study workstream and the graduate workstream. So there's an additional step, which is the skills assessment. And then once you get the skills assessment, then you can apply and lodge for your temporary graduate visa. So then the next stream is the post-study work stream. So probably in the future, if you want to apply for this one, then the steps would be easier. So there's just two steps. So you don't need skills assessment. You just need to collate all your personal and academic documents and apply for the visa. So yeah, that's it. And about the requirements. So the requirements for applying, there are several requirements listed here, which is, like, just passport, Australian academic credentials, which would be provided by your school, employment and placement evidence. So this is relevant for post-study, for the graduate work stream, which for is required for skills assessment. So you might need, like, pay slips and like logbook from your work placement, like, that you have done the required number of hours required to to be to be assessed by TRA or ACACQA or EA. So that is required for. So it depends on the assessing authority, but this is more relevant for TRA. So the and ACEQA for those that are studying. A lot of you are studying childhood education. And then for those that are studying wall tiling, um, for TRA, then this employment and placement evidence is also required. And then there's the English test. So for the English test, uh, you you can choose between IELTS, PTE, or TOEFL, and the required test is just the general training. So you don't need to apply for the academic, which is probably a harder exam. So the next one is health insurance. So compared to, like, the student visa, so the health insurance needed for this one is the overseas visitor health cover, which would be, like, paid monthly. So compared to OHSC, which is requiring you to pay for the duration of your stay as a student, this one would just be a month-to-month payment. So MSA would also be able to assist you with this one. And then the health check. So so for the health check, the immigration would require you sorry. So the immigration would require you to do health exams, which is available in your state. So normally BUPA Medical Services provides you can book a health check with them. And then the police check, this is required. and it is very important to be obtained during the time of your application. A lot of people get refusal because of this um, part, which they are unable to provide the police check during the time of application, and they or for example they provide police check, but then the document that they provided is incorrect. So um and other things like personal documents, like if you have um uh other requirements needed, and then the proof of skills assessment application, which is needed for your 485 visa. All right. So the cost involved for this visa, so this is the visa application fee set out by the Australian government. So it's 1,650 for main applicant, for dependent applicant which is an adult 825, and 415 for children. So this is per head. All right. So the next one would be sample upfront cost. So we noted the cost that you would the total cost that you would shell out to apply for this visa. So it's around 5,149 for all, this is just an estimate um of the cost for your visa. So this is applicable for graduate work stream. For post study work stream, it would be less $500 because they don't need skills assessment. All right. So our professional fee is here $2,000. But yeah, so we have a promo which we will beat any competitor price. Um, we will reduce it to 15%. So rest assured we would have the most affordable cost with MSA, but still providing you with the best and quality service. So right, so this is a cost for primary just one applicant. So it would be more if you have a dependent with you, if you have like children coming along with this application. All right. So I just want to share with you the helpful tips. So a lot of you might be thinking like, oh, I want to do the application myself. So it's all right if you want to do that. Just want to share with you how you can maximize the guarantee that you would have a successful application. So this is important tips that I uh, that we've gathered, based on like previous refusals. So a lot of people are not choosing the right stream. So for example, some uh, some applicants who are supposed to be applying for post-study work stream applies for a graduate work stream. So once they apply, they cannot actually change it during the course of their application. So for example, you already lodged it. You cannot say, okay, I'm sorry, I want to apply for this one. So you have to be careful in which stream that you choose. So in your case, if you're graduated trade courses, for example, you completed, a lot of you would be completing commercial cookery, wall and floor tiling, and then diploma in uh, telecommunications. So if you know that you would require um, skills assessment, then you should apply for the graduate work stream. All right. And then otherwise, you should be applying for the post-study work stream if you completed bachelor's, master's, or doctorate. So you would still like, it's like, it's how can someone make a wrong choice? Like a lot of people, like, it's not really uncommon, but a lot of people make the wrong choice for their graduate work stream, and then it's subject for refusal, or sometimes they get granted with the wrong stream. For example, like a bachelor's degree applying for a graduate work stream, so they have only 18 months that's granted to them. So that's possible as well. All right. So the correct timing of application. So important thing is to apply within the 12 months that you have held your student visa. So if you applied more than after the 6 months of your student visa, then your visa application will be refused. And even though you can appeal the decision, but it's like, it's like time is something that you cannot uh, just rewind and then just go back. So it's really a hard thing to revert if you, like, if you applied and if your timing of application is incorrect. So you have to do your due diligence to apply and make sure that you have completed all the requirements before that 6 month, after before that 6 month period completes. So it means that you have to do your skills assessment and, like, your English exam. So all the requirements should be ready prior to lodging your application. All right. And then with COVID, um, we have a concession for people that are unable to apply for this visa, because um, they would allow people that are unable to travel to Australia to apply for this visa if they have held the visa within the last 12 months. So the original requirement for this visa application is they can only apply within the 6 months. But because of COVID, they like extend it for another 12 months. But we actually don't know when this will end. So this will not be forever. They would, like, cease, like, tell allowing applications after the 12 within the 12-month period. So it's really vital that you apply for this visa as soon as you um become eligible. And that is very important. All right. So the next one is English exam. So it's important, like what I mentioned before, is to prepare for your English exam. So you have to prepare for your English exam before you lodge an application, because so you know that the English exam is valid for 3 years. So, like, even if you're still studying now, you can, and you know that you will finish like in a year or so, you can already take the English exam because it will still be valid by the time when you apply, rather than applying for, like, taking the exam during the time wherein you completed your course or things like that, because, like, you might find it hard to obtain the required score, or you cannot have, like, you don't have the schedule. So it's important you prepare for this one. So a lot, I'm not sure if most of your, like, the English exam that you use during your student visa application would still be valid. But if it's still valid, then you can use that one. And the required English score for 485 visa is um, overall 6. So it's very low, and the minimum score for each of the band levels should be 5. So it's actually very low and it's easy to obtain, especially if you have been studying in Australia for, like, 2 years. So it's something obtainable for the purposes of this 485 visa. But then you want in the future if you want in the future to apply for a different visa, for example, a skilled visa, it's important that you, like, aim for higher, so at least you can get higher score, so you don't need to retake the exam for the purposes of for skilled migration. So if you can obtain 8, then it's very good. That's 20 points for skilled migration, and it would definitely help if you plan to apply for permanent residency, Subclass 189, 190, or other skilled visa in the future. All right. So the next exam is the completion letter. So the completion letter, you might want to, like, to to approach NEI regarding this completion letter, because you have to obtain your completion letter from your school, and it has to be in a specific format, and, like, having information that is required for this visa. So the required information is the completion date. So it has to be mentioned in your diploma or your transcript of records or your completion letter. So so you can obtain a completion letter, your transcript of records, your diploma. But the important thing is that the completion date should be showing there properly. So the completion date is actually the date wherein you have done your last exams, not, like, not the date of your conferral, which is like your graduation. So that's two different things. So you have to, it has to be like it has to be consistent in all the documents that you will receive from your school. So a lot of times, most of my clients have have this document, and then you would see the dates are mismatching. So as much as possible, you want this document to be all the documents related to your academic qualifications consistent, so that you won't have any issues with the department asking you what is the real date of your completion. All right. So the next one is the police check. So this one is it's actually very easy to obtain police check, but believe it or not, this is one of the reasons why a lot of 485 applications get refused, because a lot of times the police check obtained by the applicant is incorrect, or they actually don't really, they think like, oh, this is not really an important document, but for 485 this is a very important document. So they, for example, they fail to upload the document, or they upload something that is totally, that is not the required police check. The required police check for 485 visa is the AFP, full disclosure. So when you apply, it's option number 33. So a lot of students apply police check, they just Google, and then there's like some websites offering police check. So it's not really the proper police check that that um that the department requires. They require police check from AFP, and not state police check, territory police checks, the ones that are given by your police stations, the one that you get from police station. So it has to be AFP. All right. So the last the next tip would be maximize your 485 visa. So this is more on when you already obtain your 485 visa. So a lot of the students, during the 485 visa, um you will have 100, full work rights. So it doesn't really limit you from applying, from applying to different work opportunities. For example, you will have opportunities in hospitality, or some part-time work in retail or things like that. So you will be probably human desire is, okay, I want to work and then I want to earn, especially when you're students. And then when you were students, you were just restricted with 20 hours of work per week. So with 485 visa, you will think, I will maximize working to 40 hours per week, or more than 40 hours per week. That is good in terms of if you want to call that earn money. But if you want to maximize the stay, have 18 months on your 485 visa. So what does 18 months mean? So when you finish your studies and you qualify for the Australian Study Work OESR, Australian Study Requirement, you will be gaining 5 points for permanent residency. So that is the study in Australia, 5 points. So this is more tips when you want to use your 485 visa to your advantage when you apply for PR. So after you apply for during the time when you have your 485 visa, use this time to gather experience that you can use to increase your points when you apply for PR visa. What do I mean by that? So your work experience, the work that you should be applying for, training for, working during the 485 visa, should be relevant to the occupation that you want to nominate in the future for skill migration. So it's actually it's easy to give this advice, but I find it very important to tell most of my clients to don't settle for work that will just give you money, or but you want to be smart with the time that you would be given for this 485 visa. You want to use that time to gain the experience required to you to on your nominated occupation. So what does it mean? So 1 year work experience in Australia amounts to 5 points. Whereas if you overseas work experience of um, 3 years is 5 points. So your 1 year in Australia amounts to 3 years overseas. So you want to use that time to at least work for at least a year, to at least gain that 1 year work experience. And then if you're lucky, for some reason you've been here for many years, if you're able to work for 3 years, then you will have 10 points. So that is very important because 5 points is really hard to obtain nowadays. So yeah, while working, try to work in an industry or an occupation that is um with highly relevant to your occupation that you will try to nominate in the future for PR. All right. So and also during this time, like a lot of you would be like applying for provisional skills assessment, like your the skills assessment that you will obtain after graduating your student visa would just be provisional. So you would be required to complete a job ready program, which would require you to work how many hours to be able to obtain that full skills assessment. So use this time during your 485 visa to do that. All right. And also the last thing is like you can only apply for your 485 visa once. So a lot of other people might have an option to study again and then like get their like apply for the 485 visa on after they finish this other course. So it's not really something like you have to apply for your 485 visa now after you finish your studies. You can opt to defer, like don't apply for it now, but apply for it in the future. For example, you want to study bachelor's degree. Then by the time you finish that one, then you will have 2 years rather than 18 months. All right. All right. So the last one is avoiding refusal. So this is important, like you don't want to be refused in your application. So it's very important that you get the requirements right to avoid refusal on your end. So because when you get refused onshore, you would be um you would be barred to apply for any other visa except for a few number of visas. So you would be limited to apply for any other visas, and then it would be an issue when you want to apply for like permanent residency in the future when you get a refusal. Measures when you apply for this kind of visa. So what we can help you with is that our company would be able to assist you in preparing your application so that you would lessen the chance of your refusal. All right. But yeah, if you choose to do it yourself, that is also okay. But yeah, just probably you want to take note of the tips that I mentioned earlier. All right. Uh, Introduced just this year. So there are updates on the 485 visa. So as what I mentioned earlier, so there I'm not sure if any one of you is offshore, but it allows like before 485 visa can only be applied onshore. So what it means is like after you finish your studies, you go offshore in your home country. You have to go back. So normally people go back on a tourist visa and apply for the 485 visa here, or like just stay here in Australia until their 485 visa is granted while holding a student visa. But now because of COVID, they are the department understands that there are people who are stuck overseas. So what it means is they are allowing these people that are affected by COVID restrictions traveling back to Australia to apply for this 485 visa offshore. All right. So yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, you can apply and they extended it to 12 months. All right. So this is also important for people who are studying currently on like who opted for online study. So it means that they're all allowing, like, they can apply even offshore. So the study that they have done on offshore would count towards the Australian study requirement. All right. So this is an important part. I'm not sure if it would be relevant to you, but probably might be something that would be relevant to you in the future if you wish to study in a regional area. So um, students who have completed their study in a designated regional area, for example, um, areas such as anywhere other than Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, would have will be able to apply for an additional 1 year of 485 visa. So I'm not sure. I think you might not be eligible for that. Those that are studying in metropolitan Sydney, but those that, like, if you were located in anywhere other than Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane, you can apply for an additional year. So yeah, so the requirement is just to stay in that regional area for at least 2 years before your application. So for example, you studied there for 2 years, then you would have met this requirement. So if that's an opportunity for you, I think uh NEI has a branch in regional Australia, so you can probably, if you want to study, if you're still studying, or if you want to study more, then you can try to go into that regional area and study there to obtain that 1 year, an additional year for a 5 visa. So there's another additional 2 years. This is for, like, regional area, like uh to obtain an additional 2 years. So the category. So if you're in category one, major cities, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, um, and then you won't be eligible for this 1 year. So, but then this is the category two. This is the additional 1 year. So if you're located anywhere in this area, Perth, Adelaide, Gold Coast, Santos, and any of this area, then you would be eligible for an additional year, 485. Then finally, regional centers and regional areas, then that's an additional 2 years. All right. Yes. So I already mentioned this earlier. So why choose MSA Immigration Australia? So we pride ourselves in providing quality work in all of our to all of our clients. So you will have proper and accurate migration advice from registered migration agent, like myself. And normally for our clients, we try to, like, check, like, which pathway is best for them depending on the purpose of their stay in Australia. So if you want us to explore your permanent residency pathways, well, um, then we can also help with that and strategize what you need to do in the future. And then we have offices in Perth, Western Australia. We're based in Subiaco here in Australia. And then we have the regional office in the Philippines. We're based in Pasig. And we have also partners in Bhutan and an office there in Bhutan. So our fees are competitive. And then we also offer 15% price beat promo if you wish to obtain our service and you think, it's quite expensive. So we can beat any competitor price 15%. Yeah. All right. So the next one is, like, we have also offer 24/7 appointment booking. So a consultation for student services, student visa is free, and our service, professional fee, lodging of visa for student is also free. So nothing for you to shell, like, uh, no cost to you in getting our service. And we also offer $100 of incentive when you sign up. All right. So I open the floor now for Q&A. Not sure. All right.
Hi, yes, good morning, everyone. So thank you, Miss Marie, for that wonderful, wonderful presentation. So yeah, now we're opening the floor for our Q&A session. So, Miss Marie, we have one question here. From Miss Maisie Jennifer Gonzalez. I would like to ask, what pathway can we have for our course, which is Diploma in Childcare?
All right, so that's a very good question. So pathway for permanent residency. So this is a quite difficult conversation that I want to I just want to be frank with you. I don't want to give you false hopes. That's why you're getting a migration agent and you're not getting a magician to talk to you. So the for childcare. So the pathway for that one is you can obtain the 485 visa. So for the purposes of 485 visa, you just have to apply for a provisional skills assessment from ACECQA. So before it's TRA, now they move it to ACECQA. So they would require you to have 240 hours of work experience or work placement to be able to apply for this visa. And then you have to graduate like the diploma in childcare. So from that point, you will have the 18 months of postgraduate visa. And then after that one, so during the 485 visa, you will have 18 months. But AECQA requires you to have experience as a childcare manager. So that might be quite a challenge for you to obtain, but it's not impossible. So if you have experience, relevant experience to get the full skills assessment as a childcare manager, not as a team leader, not as a childcare worker, then you can obtain the full skills assessment to be able to apply for the childcare manager on the 189, 190 or the 494 route. So that's the pathway for you. So it's not impossible, but it's quite challenging. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, did I answer your question? So
Yeah. Anyway, guys, for any follow-up questions, just type in your questions on the chat box. And by the way, guys, yeah, for any of we have sent the link for any of those who want to like book an appointment with us. But yeah, we'll be moving on to our next question from Niles One. So, he or she has actually 5 questions in here. So the first one is, how do I get the code? So you can get the code if you book our a consultation with Miss Marie through the link that we have sent on the chat box. So yeah, she will be discussing like the quotations, how much will you be spending, very specific to you, and because it might be different in terms of if you have any relatives or if you have any dependents that are coming with you with that application. Okay, so the second question, can you only apply once for 485 after you graduate? So Miss Marie?
yes, so this 485 visa allows you to apply only once in your lifetime. So after it requires you to be a graduate because you need your completion letter from your school. So you can only apply once, but it doesn't mean that you can study more than you can only study once. So you can opt to if you graduate here, you can choose not to take your 485 now, and then probably you want to apply for a bachelor's degree, and then you can apply for the 485 related to that course of study. So instead of getting 18 months, if you were completed, for example, a diploma here in NEI, then you would, if you want to apply for bachelor's, then it would give you, what do you call that, 2 years. So that's an
Yeah.
example. All right.
Yep. So just to clarify as well, by the way, not all courses like offered by NEI would actually lead into, eligible for you guys to be eligible to apply for the 485. So by the way, I'm a qualified education agent counselor. That's why I'm also here in the meeting. So just in case, guys, you are not qualified for, getting the 485 visa right away, then I am here to advise you on what would be your next pathway, just in case you're not eligible to apply for your 485 visa. Okay.
Yes, agree.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's actually quite tricky to know the eligibility for the 485 in the graduate work stream. But we can talk to you, and we can do a personalized consultation if you're eligible for that one. So I agree with Reina. She mentioned not all courses that is offered by NEI. There's a specific course and there's a specific package that would allow you to apply for 485. Thank you,
Yeah.
Reina, for clarification. All
You're
right.
welcome po. The next question from Neil is, if we are already here in Australia, do we still need a health check?
Yes, so you would still need a health check in Australia if your application if you have applied for a visa before in the last 12 months. So their health check is like expires every 12 months. So if you applied before, which is like if you already had an health exam in the last 12 months, then you won't be required to do the health check. But otherwise, you would still need to do this.
Yeah.
This costs around $300 or so.
Yeah, and there are only qualified like clinics actually
Yes.
that you can apply, or you can have your or accredited panel of physician in your specific cities that you can do your medical. So you can just choose any clinic and do your medical. So they only have accepted panel of physicians, right?
All
So I hope that clears your question. The fourth question from Neil is, I have family back in the Philippines and that I want to take here. Do they also need to take the English exam?
The English exam is only required for the main applicant. So only you, which is the main applicant. So your dependents won't be required to take this English exam.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So the fifth question from Neil, do you have a Sydney office or agent?
So we are based in Perth, Western Australia. So it's like how many miles from you? But we have lots of other clients based all over Australia, in like overseas in the Philippines, and everything is done online, and like won't have any issues interacting with us even with a distance. So yeah, but yeah, we don't have an office in Sydney. We're based in Perth, Western Australia, and
Yeah.
Manila. Yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, guys, everything is done quite virtually nowadays because of COVID. So we also want you to be safe, guys. So as much as possible, that we want to help you, like personally. Everything right now is done virtually. So I don't think there's going to be or a much problem in terms of giving you advice and processing your documents. So we will be on every step of the way, and we will guide you so that you won't have, or we won't miss anything in terms of getting your visa approved, right? From S Mariam, um do we meet this criteria if you have been living and working in regional area for more than 2 years but your institution was in Sydney?
That is a very tricky question. So it might be hard to if you can prove that you are like majority of your time is spent living and working in regional area, because I'm not sure like the distance between regional areas in Sydney. So if you're studying, like you spend how many hours there, and then you have to prove that majority of your time is spent living and working in this regional area. So it's more on the onus for you to provide proof that okay, your institution, which like allows you to study for how many hours, then yeah, so proving that like your time is spent more on the regional area rather than metropolitan Sydney. So yeah, so if you can do that, then that's possible.
All right, thanks, Miss Mary. So another question from S. Mariam. Is it mandatory that the 92-week study or the 16 months is in a same or relevant course? Can we combine two different courses together to be eligible for 485?
Yes, that's definitely possible as long as the two courses are relevant to each other. So this is something quite complicated, and you have to probably consult a registered migration agent, because you have to like to know that these courses are relevant to the outcome of your course eligible for 485. So you cannot just combine, for example, you do um like for example, you do some course that is totally irrelevant. English, for example, you do study English and then you study cookery. So those two are not relevant, but you're thinking if you want to combine them for to be 92 weeks, then probably it's not possible. But some courses, for example, um, uh, childcare certificate 3 and then diploma, that would be eligible for the 92 weeks ASR requirement. All right.
All right. So, yep. Next question from Nile. If we graduate from IT, do we still need skills assessment from ACS to get the 485 visa?
This is quite I have to check your profile and then the course that you have applied for. But generally, IT ACS requires bachelor's degree. So it depends on the occupation. So I will need to sit down with you on the occupation, and it's quite tricky because ACS looks at the units that you have taken. Like it's not just the course name itself. So the units that you have taken, and then the relevant occupation to this one. So if as a 485 visa, graduating on like if you've done diploma or something like that, then definitely you will need skills assessment. So that's the any skills assessing body, any 485 visa that is in the graduate work stream would require skills assessment. But depending, I would need to check because I know ACS requires you to have a bachelor's degree, skill level 1. So it would depend on the occupation that you want to nominate. So Neil, if you want to schedule a consultation, so we can check your personal circumstance and the courses that you have obtained, the units that you have obtained. Yeah.
All right. All right. So okay. So from Lori V. Oh, hold on. So from Lori V, can you please repeat the thing about experience needed to be able to apply for PR for childcare?
All right. So all right. So for the 485 visa provisional skills assessment, you will need at least 240 hours of work placement. So to be able to obtain the temporary, the provisional skills assessment. All right. Yeah.
Okay. So from Sao Lanwu, could you repeat for how long to get the extra year on top 18 months?
So the extra year, you have to be living, working in a regional area. So any regional area, the regional area is any place other than Sydney, Brisbane, and Melbourne. You have to live for 2 years prior to your application. So the requirement is that you're already holding a 485 visa, and then in any duration, even during before you apply for this additional year, you have to stay in a regional area for at least 2 years, including your family, and everybody would be applying. Then you will get this additional 1 year.
Okay. So another question from Lori V. What if we decided another 1-year course after we finish a diploma of childcare, like leadership and management? Can we still apply for this visa?
It's a little tricky because you might be there might be an issue with the relevance of leadership and management. So we know that manager, you have to be a leader or something, but it's a little tricky to be combined with. So you might need to have a very strong application to 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 um to substantiate why these two courses are relevant. But with the leadership, I see a lot of people getting refusals having that combination. So it might be a little risky to combine these two.
Yeah, because it's the same question from Mariam. Can we combine diploma of leadership and management in early childhood? I've already submitted EOI saying that I did diploma of leadership to have skills of a manager at a center. So yeah, basically it doesn't the course doesn't really give you the skills as a manager at the center. Am I right?
Yeah, so it's a little tricky. Because I see a lot of decisions having refusals with this combination. So we might need to recheck, sit down with you and check, the actual contents of course, and because there's a lot of scrutiny with this combination, especially combining leadership in management with like other courses. So
Yeah.
like they understand that it's a natural progression to like having like an early childhood, and then you have to be a leader. But then uh probably more suitable is like diploma in hospitality management and then cookery. So that those two is like very highly relevant. But leadership and management, we have to check, and it's not really an outright answer. Yes, it would depend on the like we have to have a very strong application to have this assessed favorably.
Okay.
Right.
So another question from Mariam. What documents are required to give the evidence of spending time in regional area? I have work placements, logbook, payslips, house lease agreement, bank statement, household bills, etc.
All right. So it's more of like uh work placement, logbook, payslip, house lease. Um, just more on like information providing that you have been spending time in that space. So it's good that you have like a house agreement, household bill, that would be helpful. And like yeah, I think yeah, you mentioned all the things that are needed. So if you can substantiate more of like if you have household, yeah, I think you mentioned like a sufficient number of evidences. But if you can provide more, and probably you have to we have to check if you have like to put like a timeline, because you still have to go to school, right? So how many hours are you spending time in school? So that's an issue. Probably little complicated case on your end. All
Yeah,
right.
that's right. So
Yes.
another question is from Seth. He's asking actually if we do have a list of um, all regional areas. So actually, it's
Ah,
on the site of in Home Affairs. So I've just sent on our chat box the regional postcode, so that you can actually check if the postcode that you're actually living at is on the regional area. So it's on the
yes.
Home Affairs websites. Okay.
Yeah.
Another question from Annette Jean Joino. Hello, may I ask for the link where I can book your appointment and thoroughly discuss our specific situation? Sure. You can book at our Setmore account. So I will be resending that on our. Oh, sorry, that's not it. I will be resending it on our chat box. So you guys can book with Miss Marie. Hold on. Uh, okay, another question from Lori V is, what if after the 485 visa you decided to want to pursue bachelor? Can we apply for another grad visa for the postgrad?
All right.
So yeah,
Lori
I have
V.
similar case.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Lori V. So, after you have obtained your 485, even if you apply, even if you study like bachelor's or master's or even PhD, you won't be able to apply for another 485 visa again. So this is like that's what I mentioned, like the timing is important when in your application. So if you decide to take your 485 now on the graduate work stream and you get that 18 months, so after finishing you won't be able to apply for, like, you can study, but then after that one you cannot get another 485 based on this new study. So
Exactly.
unfortunately, yeah, so it's like that. So it's better to strategize and let us know if you want, like, to obtain a different qualification, and we can help you with that one, so that you can probably get your 485 after you study this new qualification.
Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, so I think it's also sometimes it's quite better, like before you apply for your 485, to approach us and us, like, what's the next best step. So
Mhm.
because honestly for me, if you're doing the diploma, it's because like there was quite a change before. So right now it's ACEC QA. Before it was TRA, so there was like quite some changes on the rules along the way. So right now, it's quite advisable as well if you guys can talk to us so that we can say that, oh, it's better for you to take your a further study right now rather than to take your 485. So at least you'll have more benefits after, for example, your bachelor's degree later on. You'll have 2 years, another 1 year top up if you go regional, something like that. And of course, like, the pathways for residency and citizenship will be discussed better, or you'll have better options as well after that, those or that study. And Miss Marie can discuss as well after getting your bachelor's ahead of before getting your 485. So another question from Lori V, can we also have like an overview of what we should target as a work position to be sure that we maximize this visa? Like for me, studying and working in the childcare, so we can, or so we know we can make sure that we are in the right path.
Yeah, so for 485, so for the work position on the for childcare, you have to be working as a childcare manager. So you have to target that position. So to be able to get a full skills assessment. So unfortunately, it might be quite hard to obtain that position, but that is the position that is required to obtain the full skills assessment. And like manager, even in regional areas, it doesn't really matter which area you practice this profession. So it's better if it's in regional area because you have better opportunities getting state sponsorship there or regional sponsorship. So it's in my opinion, if you can do it in a regional area, it's better for you in terms of PR prospects in the future. But you might be also strategic because each regional area has different occupation priorities. So don't just go in a regional area. Probably check, we might be able to help you with that, to check which regional areas prioritize people living in regional area to be able to be sponsored for their regional spaces allotment for skilled migration. All right. So I have a
Yeah.
question here. It's a direct message.
Okay.
So, hi ma'am. I'm currently working right now. It's from Eman Salvador. And I'm planning to take diploma and advanced diploma in graphic design after this. Would I still be eligible for 485 visa after that? Or could you recommend any diploma courses that is in line with my current work that would make me eligible for a 485 visa? So right now, advanced diploma in graphic design, I'm not sure, but I don't think this is part of the MLTSSL. So probably if you complete this course, you won't be eligible to apply for a skills assessment. So might have to check. So with 485 visa, just want to let you know, this is a general rule. You have, once you complete your area of study, you have to have a skills assessment. So getting skills assessment should be relevant to as an occupation in the medium and long-term skills statistics list. So if you complete your studies and it won't lead to an skills assessment in the medium and long-term skills statistics list, and so it means that you won't be able to apply for a 485 visa. So for example, you study leadership something, even if it takes 2 years, completing that one won't let you apply for a skills assessment that is in the medium and long-term skills strategies list. So it means you won't have any chances to apply for a 485 visa in the graduate work stream. So that's the general rule. All right. So yeah, you can talk to us and let probably we can me and Reina can help you pick out a course that would be in line to to your goal in applying for a 485 visa later on. Yeah.
Yep. From Nile again, if we some of them graduate in October, when is the optimal month or time to start consulting with you guys, given there's a 90-day for the discount for the 485 visa?
So what's the 90 days? Sorry. So you can consult with us as early as now, so we can strategically move things along, which for example, you have things to complete all the requirements. But if you want to optimal, like, you can talk to us like around June or something if you don't want to talk to us now because it's quite long. And then it would give us enough time to process your documents and be ready by the time you apply for your 485 visa. So I'm not sure what is the 90-day discount. But we were offering our promotion is all year. So it's offered for this year. So the price beat promo, and then the like the refer a friend is also um offered are offering for this year. So yeah. Yeah, better if you can talk to us now, and then like we can process your visa earlier, and then make some like strategies for your PR application or your 485 visa application.
Yeah, that's correct. From Lori again. Sorry for asking a lot. That's okay. We love questions. We love to answer them.
Yes.
But really wanted to make sure the next visa to apply for. If you pursue bachelor in early childhood and working like 2-3 years, same position is needed, or will it be lesser for PR? Uh, Hold on. I'm not sure I got the question right. And working like 2-3 years, same position is needed.
So I'm not sure. So for the so if you want to do bachelor in early childhood after your course in NEI, so actually if you do bachelor's degree, you don't need skills assessment to gain 485. So after you complete your studies, for example, you complete your bachelor's degree, you can immediately apply for 485. There's no work experience needed or things like that. But
Yeah.
for the purposes of PR, it's different. So it would depend on your qualification, work experience. So the more work experience that you have, the better position you are in applying for a PR visa, because like 3 years work experience in that position, for example, as a teacher, would give you 10 points compared to like 1 year work experience in at if you have 1 year work experience, you gain 5 points. So you want to maximize the time the opportunity on a 485 visa after you gain, for example, your bachelor's degree. So you would have 2 years, right, when you do your bachelor's degree. So during that 2 years, you can study as you can work as a teacher. So that would give you 1 year, and then if you're in a regional, then it's possible that you would be able to stay for an additional 3 years after your studies. So during that time, you gain 5 points for regional study, 5 points for Australian study, five 10 points for 3 years work experience. So that's a lot of points. So you're in a better position to apply for a PR visa. But yeah, these things would be discussed in detail when you book a consultation, because it's quite hard to to gauge, because some people will have experience already overseas working as a teacher, so you could also
Yeah.
combine those work experience to gain more points.
Exactly. That's right. All right. Another question from Mariam. Can we combine Master of TESOL 74 weeks and Diploma of Early Childhood 74 weeks together? But there is a 12 months gap in between both. But I did a leadership diploma in between, so no gaps in studies.
We have to check this one on a private consultation, because we need to check the timeline. So it's better to book a consultation
Yeah.
on this one. Yeah.
From Laila or Ayla. She's asking, I'm on the 485 visa right now, and then after 18 months, plan to ask employer for sponsorship if given. Is it granted that I can apply for PR?
So it depends. So employer sponsorship is another different topic, but just to give you like a very brief background on this one. So you can apply for employer sponsorship, no issues. But then for E2 visa, the employer sponsored visa, that is a temporary visa. So it would require you to be working in your occupation for at least 2 years. So as long as you can satisfy that one, but if for example you obtain your qualification in 18 months, and that qualification, so it might be impossible, like if only started that work after you graduate. So as if you have the 24 months, then your employer can sponsor you. for the 482 visa. And then there's a different visa 186 and 187. So that is the permanent residency visa. So just ask your employer if which visa are they thinking of applying you, like sponsoring you. So the best visa would be 186, or like if it's regional 187, to gain automatic permanent residency. Otherwise, you can do 482 and then wait for your sponsor to sponsor to sponsor you for the 186. Yeah, but yeah, you can consult with us to learn more about this, and probably we'll have another webinar discussing pathways after your 485 visa. All right. So I think I just froze. I remember the consultation is waived if you process the visa. All right. So Neil, the consultation. So if we offer $100 consultation for 1 hour of consultation, and then if you want to complete your process the visa with us, so we will deduct that $100 to your professional fee. So that's what the 90 days mean. All right.
All right. Sorry, got cut off very quickly. Yeah, another question or another clarification from Lori. I mean, do you still need to be a manager? I think this is the childcare manager to apply for
Yes.
PR.
Yes.
Just
So if
I mean, this is like in relation to her question earlier. What if she does the bachelor's degree and then she graduates like a bachelor's in early childhood education and then graduates? Does she need to be a manager to apply for PR after that study?
all right. So good question. And the answer to that is it's not really relevant. So childcare manager is the childcare manager. So that is the qualification relevant to your diploma in childhood. Diploma in childhood. So bachelor's in early childhood leads to a teaching skill occupation. So you don't need to be a manager because the required skill would be as a teacher in preschool like kids like so it's irrelevant. It's like two different things. But if you want to if you want to have more options, then you can have a skill as a childcare manager. So that gives you more option if you're able to get that position.
Yeah. Another question from Laila. For child care manager, do you have to work permanent or part-time?
So this one depends on the visa type. So if you're applying for skilled migration visa 189 190, so the required work to be considered as full-time is 20 hours per week. But if you're applying for a different visa they call that TSS 485, that they would require you 38 hours per week to be able to consider that job as full-time. But in terms of I think you you can do part-time as long as you can meet the number of hours required to get the full skills assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it would take longer time for you to do that as a part-time worker, right?
Yep. So guys, do you have any more questions? All right. Ayun. Yeah, typing okay lang po. Yeah.
All right. So I just want to have a show of hands, I don't know how can you do show of hands here? So probably can you type in all of the participants, what is the course that you have or will be completing in NEI? So just
From Nile, that's IT.
that's it.
From Seth, diploma of. Eman, it's IT. Seth in childcare. Mariam, early childhood. Oh, there's quite like a mix of people here. So from Henry, IT. Yel is IT. Lori V is ECE, Early Childhood Education and Care. Okay, so yeah, I think like a lot of our participants today are in the early childhood.
Yes.
Mm.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So I think most of Lori B's question would yeah would also help the other participants here.
Yep.
All right. So I hope you guys learned a lot from our webinar and like probably give you more information on how you would go about your 485 visa application in the future.
Do you also process student visa? Yes, we do process student visa. We do process all sorts of visas actually at MSA Immigration. So we're not only qualified education agent counselors, but we also have Miss Marie here, who is very much qualified to process migration-related visas po. And yung mga temporary or mga permanent resident visas. Does the consultation fee include follow-up questions after 1 hour of meeting?
Yes, yeah. So we don't worry. We will be like under reason. So probably don't ask like a full um book of questions. You can still answer your questions after the consultation, but probably within limits. For of course, like we still have other clients to to mind
Cater.
about. So if we have some things that were left out during the consultation, then we can definitely still discuss these things with you. And yeah, just to add on the student visa, we are offering a very generous bonus for all the sign up people who want to sign up with us for student visa. So we're offering $100 to after you sign up with us when you process your student visa. And also our student visa processing is free of charge. So as migration agent, we will be handling your application, and our education counselor Reina would be giving you advice on which the best course that would be suitable for your profile. And yeah, just an option for you. And if you have friends who are interested in gaining getting student visa or any other kind of visa, you can refer them to us, and then you would get a bonus of $100, and your friend also gets $100. So it's a win-win situation for you. Yeah.
Okay. Another question from Lori, are you connected to TAFE? Yes, we are connected to TAFE. We are also connected to other schools, colleges, universities that are located in your city or the nearest place that you have. So just let us know if you're planning to do like a further program, anything like that, then we can get you in touch, or we can get you an enrollment if that's something that you're looking at. So the next question is from Annette. Hello, ma'am. I'm confused about the consultation fee because you said earlier it's free and now you mentioned about the 1 hour free and 100 deduction. Please enlighten me.
So the student visa consultation is free.
All right. So yeah, I think Miss Marie got dropped off the meeting. So again, I just want to clarify this one. The student visa consultation is free. However, if you want to have a consultation that has anything to do with migration or the 485 visa or any migration related concerns, you will be paying actually $100 for the consultation. However, once you sign up for our services, like for example, you have submitted your documents, then we will deduct that $100 into the professional fee that we are charging for any migration related concerns or any migration related visas. All right. From Nile, like email follow up. We can still answer that, but up to again up to an extent. So just in case you have like another or want another session that is like a full blown 2 hours or such, or an hour or such, like a new advice or another issues with regards to another visa, then that's another thing that we have to discuss. All right. Just in case we want to do a bachelor in TAFE, yeah, that's okay. I do understand. So we can actually give you like some sort of other options, not just TAFE, so that you can compare actually yung mga fees or the other fees that um you can or you want to, or if you want to consider other schools and you can compare the fees, you can compare like for example the policies and what else, like how do they do things at that school, so we can give you those sorts of options naman po.
All
All
right.
right,
I'm sorry I
so
got this.
yes po, that's all right. So yeah, can we apply now even though we graduate by the fourth quarter or 2021, or do we only start the process right after we graduate?
Yes, you only start the process, don't apply because we would get refusal. So it's just like preparing for the documents and starting the process. So it's easier when you prepare it now rather than when you just like you do it after the finishing of your course. So another thing that I can give you as a tip is like if you want to maximize this visa, so what we normally do is we maximize the time that you have your student visa. So we only apply during the time wherein it's quite nearing the expiry. So because when you apply earlier, then you will have it would be processed earlier. So rather than just getting 18 months, you will get more than the 18 months because it will include the time that the processing time. So there's like a buffer period between the time you apply and then you get the grant. So in order to make that possible, you have to prepare your application properly. So as like even if you beat the deadline, then you would still have all the required documents with you.
Does that apply for both application for student and for 8.5? Yes. So as early as now, I mean, like Miss Mary said, you can start applying for your or you can start well gathering your documents basically, and technically we can only launch your visa after you graduate, so we won't waste any of the time. It's because anyway we will need your academic credentials that you will be getting after your studies anyway. So that those are the documents that we need to yeah get for the like either another student visa or the 485 visa. So Lori V, where is your office in Sydney? So not sure if you were able to hear this earlier. We don't have an office in Sydney, but we are located in Subiaco in Perth, and here in Pasig City in Manila, Philippines. So unfortunately, even though we are not located in Sydney, we can assist you and we can give you advice virtually. And also, again, we're thinking of your safety. So I think it's also very nice, or it's also quite nice for you to, do things virtually as well. So I don't think there's gonna be a problem with us assisting you online.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so guys, if you have any more questions, please free to write them down on chat, or if you have like any if you have, or if you want to have a one-on-one session with either me or Miss Marie. So by the way, you can talk to me with regards to further studies, but if with regards to 485 and honor migration purposes, you have to book your appointment with my Miss Chris Marie Tentia here. All right, so um, we have also again sent the link on our chat box, so you can book your consultation with us. All right. So I guess that concludes our webinar. We don't have any more questions, guys. So thank you very much for attending our webinar, and thank you, Miss Marie, for that very wonderful presentation. And I hope all of our participants have learned a lot, and of course, well, we wish you a great weekend, guys.
Yes. Thank you everyone and keep safe. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye po.